Welcome everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bangam Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing with our discussion of the 108 important verses of the Bhagavad Gita. In that today we will be looking at shloka number 7 from chapter 2. So we will read chapter 2 shloka 7, which goes like this. This verse is spoken by Arjuna. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prichhami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yachreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapannam. Translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. That is the purport of this verse. Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the perplexed man is described as follows. Yova etat aksharam gargi avidat smal lokat para iti sakrupanaha. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. This human form of life is a valuable asset. This human form of life is a valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is a Brahmana, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all problems of life. Ya edat aksharam gargi viditva smal lokat para iti sab brahmanaha. The Kripanas or miserly persons who waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. in the material conception of life. One who is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children and other members on the basis of skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty is to fight, was awaiting him, still on account of miserly weakness, he could not discharge the duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, to make a definite solution. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself, and yet foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without, and one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, this is an important verse in the sense that it is a watershed moment in Arjuna's life. Why so? As we are discussing chapter 1, we are seeing Arjuna Vishada Yoga. We are seeing how Arjuna is very, very sad, and he is very worried, and he is very compassionate, and he gives all those reasons to Krishna as to why I don't want to fight, my dear Krishna. And then in the beginning of the second chapter, we are finding that Krishna, having heard all the arguments of Arjuna, Krishna will then ask Arjuna, Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastidam anarejustamaswargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. From where did all these impurities come on to you, O Arjuna? And then Krishna will go on to say that although you are speaking the words of the learned, you are lamenting for that which is not worth lamenting. So, when Arjuna was expecting to hear words of solace from Krishna, because Arjuna was thinking that, oh, Krishna is my very good friend, so he has taken me to this battlefield and now I am standing in front of all my relatives. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And then he's telling Krishna, see, if I kill all these people, what will happen to me? Sin will befall upon me. I don't want to kill. And then in the second chapter beginning also, he is telling Krishna that, why should how can I kill all these great personalities who are worshipable? He says, Bhishma, Drona, these are all worshipable elders of mine. And how can I kill them in battle, even though they are in my opposite side? And he says that, what sin I will incur by killing all these people? So he says very greatly, he says, very graciously, he says that, it is better to go to the forest and live by begging, So on the face of it, he is giving arguments like renunciation, which is of course considered to be a great quality. On the other hand, he is also speaking about non-violence, not killing so many people. Again, in the modern world, that is considered to be a great virtue. And he is giving all these reasons to Krishna and expecting some soft, encouraging words from Krishna. Okay, Arjuna, that's okay. Let us see what I can do. Maybe you don't have to fight the war, I will do something. So, this is how Arjuna, although expecting these things and expressing these emotions to Krishna, Krishna simply chastised him. He told him, Kashmalamidam. He said, how this impurity has come upon you? And he says, this is Anarya Justam Aswargyam. He says, Anarya. That means Arya, the word Arya means one who knows the real value of life. And Anarya means one who does not know, or one who is ignorant about the real value of human life. So Arjuna is being asked, all these impurities within you, you are behaving like somebody who does not know the value of life. It is very pertinent that Krishna speaks about Arjuna being Anarya, because these are all personalities who were trained in Varnashrama. They have learned all these things. So they are expected to know the value, real value of human life. And so Krishna is calling Arjuna, you are Anarya, behaving like an Anarya. Somehow these impurities have come upon you. So, still Arjuna is not giving up. He says, no, I cannot kill because these people are my elders. These people are worshipable for me. And then the realization dawns on Arjuna. Then he understands that what is my actual problem? My actual problem is indecision. And why am I not able to decide? I am not able to decide because I cannot discern what is good for me and what is not good for me. I cannot decide for myself what is good for me. I cannot decide for myself what is not good for me. So, he says, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prichhami tvam dharma sammudha cheta. Sammudha cheta. Because of my bewildered intelligence, I am unable to understand what is my dharma and what is shreya for me. What is good for me? Shreyaha. What is shreyaha? What is the shreya for me? And he says, Nishchitam bruhi tanme. He is telling, please tell me. Nishchitam. That means you have to conclusively tell me what is good for me. So why would somebody tell somebody, please tell me what is good for me? It is because I don't know what is good for me. Right? And Arjuna is accepting that I don't know Krishna, I don't know what is good for me. So please. And what is he saying? Shishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. So he says, Prapannam, I am surrendering to you. How? I am surrendering to you as your disciple. I am surrendering to you as a disciple. Please instruct me. There is a great lesson in this shloka for all of us, for every student of the Bhagavad Gita. The 7th verse, Shishyasteham Shathimam Tvam Prapannam, holds a very great lesson. One thing is that it is a turning point in the Bhagavad Gita. Until this shloka, Krishna and Arjuna are on, at least Arjuna is considering himself to be on a par level with Krishna, who is his best friend. Although throughout Arjuna's life, Krishna has been a problem solver, Arjuna never considered Krishna to be someone above him, whether in intellectual things or whether in spiritual things. Arjuna, the thought never crossed Arjuna's mind about Krishna being something else other than his best friend. Because we know the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna. They are not only just very good friends. Arjuna is also married to Krishna's sister. And how did that marriage take place? Krishna helped Arjuna to come, dressed as somebody else and get married, take Subhadra away. Because Krishna's elder brother Balaram, he never wanted Arjuna to marry Subhadra. But Krishna's plan was that Subhadra should be married to Arjuna. So he made arrangements so that Arjuna can even get married to Subhadra. So just imagine, they were like two thick pals, very good friends. And when this whole thing blew up to the level of a war, when Arjuna asked Krishna that I want only you. So Krishna says, okay, I'll come with you. And Krishna also puts all his conditions and Arjuna says, okay, doesn't matter. Why? Because I just want you. You are my best friend. I need you by my side when I am fighting the war. Okay? And then actually Krishna takes a position that is subordinate to Arjuna in this whole warfare. This whole warfare, Krishna is actually acting subordinate to Arjuna. Why? Because a charioteer is subordinate to the warrior who is on the chariot. The warrior on the chariot will say, drive the chariot to the right. Then charioteer has to drive it to the right. When he says stop, he has to stop. When he says turn left, he has to turn left. That means who is the superior in a chariot? The warrior is superior to the charioteer. The charioteer is there to do things as per the order and the desire of the warrior standing on the chariot. And of course, he also acts as an assistant, a protector, like that. They will also warn, that something that the warrior cannot see, they will also warn. But the basic position is that this one, the warrior and the charioteer is a subordinate to the warrior. So this is their position until now. Until now, this is the position between Arjuna and Krishna. And now, after sharing all his Hridaya Vyatha, as we say, all the difficulty in his heart, Arjuna shared with Krishna. And what did he get in return? Krishna basically called him a big fool. Why? Not directly. He said, while speaking like a learned person, you are lamenting for that which is not worth lamenting. What does that mean? It means that you are speaking like a big Pandita, but actually your viewpoints are very, very foolish. Right? So now he got called a fool by his friend. And then suddenly it dawns on Arjuna that I am now totally confused. I am perplexed. So this is a position of every living entity. This is the position of every living entity, being perplexed about so many things in the material world. We are all perplexed by the harsh material reality around us. So we are always in a confused state of mind. And many times we lose our composure. And many times we are not able to decide whether I should take this decision or that decision. We speak about being, we speak about people being, agonizing over taking a decision. Right? This is something that we see regularly, that he is agonized over taking a decision. That means we go through, in our daily material life, people go through a lot of agony to take a decision on something, whether I should decide for this or against this. And what will happen if I take that decision? I don't know. So, being perplexed is the nature of all conditioned living beings in the material world. As long as you are not in knowledge, as long as you are on the platform of ignorance, this perplexed situation will continue. And simply we take decisions based on whims. And then later on, some of them, if we are fortunate, will turn right. Some of them will turn wrong and we will suffer greatly. But Arjuna here, we see, is very intelligent. Now he says, Karpanya dosha. I have been afflicted with this Karpanya dosha, and because of this Karpanya dosha, I have lost all my composure. I have lost all my composure due to Karpanya dosha, and therefore I am confused about my duty. So I surrender to you as a shishya, as a disciple. So the purport of this verse is that we must approach a spiritual master, a guru, a bona fide spiritual master in an authorized disciplic succession, in order to come out of the material perplexities and in order to get proper guidance to execute the purpose of our life. You see? Otherwise, we will simply continue to suffer through in our material life with all the material perplexities. So, surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master. And that is a very, very important decision in everyone's life. If at all somebody wants to escape, if at all somebody wants to become free from this material existence, we must approach a spiritual master. The Mundaka Upanishad says, Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Eva Abhigachet. That means, Tad Vijnanartham, to have realized knowledge about Tad, it is referring to the Supreme Absolute Truth. So, if one wants to have properly realized knowledge about the Supreme Absolute Truth, one must approach a spiritual master. It does not say one may approach, it does not say one can approach, it does not say like that. It does not give it as a choice. That verse makes it very clear that there is no two choices about taking shelter of a spiritual master. That is for those people who are interested to become free from this material existence. It is very important to say this in the context of our discussion, that somebody is approaching Bhagavad Gita in the proper manner is that I want to get out of this material condition. This is the proper way in which one approaches the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And if somebody is approaching with that intention, for him this becomes of primary importance that one should accept a spiritual master. And Arjuna here is speaking about Karpanya dosha. And Srila Prabhupada, in the purport to this verse, he is quoting the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where it says, who is a miser, who is a kripana. Generally, the word kripana, translated into English as miser, miser means one who does not spend money. That is our general definition. Kripana also, kripana means, somebody who is a kripana, they say. Kripana means who will not spend money, who will not let go of his things. That is a kripana. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is defining this kripana or karpanya. The kripana is a person who is not utilizing the human form of life to solve the problems of life. So the actual miserliness is what? Not utilizing the human form of life. The external miserliness is that, not utilizing your things to help others, not to help yourself also. The miser is one who will not spend for others, who will not spend for himself also. That means he will also suffer, not help himself. He will see other people suffering, also he will not help. This is miser. So, that definition or that meaning is expanded in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad to say that miser is one who does not utilize this most valuable asset, which is the human form of life. And why is the human form of life the most valuable? We must know that. Only in the human form of life we can actually ask these questions. Like Arjuna now says, I don't know what is good for me, so please advise. If we are born as a cat or a dog or a monkey or take any other, you cannot go and ask somebody, why am I born as a monkey? You cannot ask. You don't have that intelligence when you are receiving that type of body. If you are in a cat's body, you cannot find a guru and ask him, why am I a cat? You cannot. That level of intelligence is not provided in a cat body or a dog body or an elephant body or a, So only in this human form of life are we able to ask these questions. And only when we ask these questions, approaching a guru, then only we will get solution. So, Kripana is one who does not solve the problems of life even after getting a human body, and Kripana is also one who wastes all their time in the material body conception. And what is this material body conception? In Shastra, the material body conception is explained as aham mameti. That means me and mine, me, I am the most important person for myself, and mine, my father, my mother, my wife, my children, my property, my house, my car, my bank balance, my gold, everything, me and mine. You see? And Srila Prabhupada says that it is a skin disease. That means you are only seeing that skin covering and identifying, oh, this shape covered by this color skin and this feature, this is my father. This bag covered by this color skin and this feature is my mother. Like that, my wife, my children. Prabhupada says that is skin disease. So you identify by the body. You see? So material conception is actually, that means you identify everybody only by their body, and your relationship is also only based on that bodily conception. So what happens? You are not able to see things as they are. You are not able to see beyond that bodily connection. Okay? So, one thing is that this is my family, this is my property, that everything belongs to me. And then the other symptom of this skin disease is that all these people or all these bodies that are connected to me, I somehow think that they are my protection. They are my protection. That is everybody, you hear a lot of people who say that my fallback is my family. What if everybody falls together? Then where is the fallback? You see? So, Kripana means one who depends on all these material things because his conception is completely material. His thinking is completely based on this material body conception. So, that is a Kripana. So when Arjuna says Karpanya Doshopahada Swabhava, what is Karpanya Dosha is this. And Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also defines the opposite word of Kripana. The opposite word of Kripana is Brahmana. And what does the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad say about the Brahmana? It says one who is intelligent and utilizing the human body to solve all problems of life. So, one is Kripana, who does not know what to do with human life and does not know how to solve the problem. The other one is Brahmana, who is intelligent enough to utilize this human form of life in order to solve the problems. Now, the next point is, what is this problem? What is this problem in material life? Immediately what comes to our mind is roti, kapda, makan. That means clothes to wear, roti to eat, roti, if not roti, pongal, dosa, whatever, to eat, and then kapda, something to wear, and then makan, one house to live in. That seems to be our, or that we actually or normally identify as our prime problems, right? And all the other problems that we see or that we experience is related to these only, no? Right? Related to our eating, related to our, basically our material existence. But the Upanishad Vakya, where the Kripana is not able to solve his problems and the Brahmana is able to solve the problems of life, is not talking about these problems. This is not the problem that is being discussed in the Upanishad. This is not the problem that Bhagavad Gita is discussing. The Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads are discussing problem at a different level. And what is that problem? Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. The real problem of material existence is this continuing process of janma mrityu jara vyadhi. These are the problems that require solution. And these are the problems for which you cannot find solutions on the material platform. You cannot stop your rebirth. You cannot stop your death. You cannot stop jara. You cannot stop vyadhi. Now you may argue that science has developed so much and now we can, stop jara. How long can you stop jara? That is, when you are 50, you have enough technology in the world to make you look 40. When you are 60, there is technology to make you look like 30. Right? But even if it is making you look like, if you are 70 and you look like 30, but your heart, your kidney, your liver and everything will be 70-year-old. So the only jara that you are actually trying to address is, on your skin level jara only. By coloring our hair, by tucking the skin and all these things we can do. But that is not a solution to jara. That is not a solution to advancing age. Advancing age is something to do with Kala Chakra that you cannot stop. So this argument of, we are stopping, anti-aging cream, anti-aging pills and anti-aging serum and anti-aging, all these things, no. This is only skin level solution. Can you stop aging? Can you stop Kala Chakra when you are, like Markandeya when he was 16, stopped. When the Chatushanas, then they were 5, Kala Chakra stopped for them. They are eternally 5 years old. Can we do that? We cannot. Jara, advancing age cannot be stopped. And Vyadhi. Again, Vyadhi, you may think, oh, now we have solved all the Vyadhi. But now in the current situation as we speak today, nobody will say that we have conquered Vyadhi. Because now practically even the non-believer is praying that a cure is found as soon as possible. We are in that condition. So Vyadhi, disease, you cannot find a solution. You find a solution for one, tomorrow you will get 3 more. You find solution to 3, by the next week you will have another 9. You know something, you douse the fire here, another bigger fire erupts somewhere else. So Vyadhi also, there is nothing you can do about it. Okay, you can take some medicine, you can take some mitigation, but you cannot mitigate it totally. And Mrityu, of course. Srila Prabhupada gives this example that, there was this very rich man in Calcutta and the doctors told him that, you are about to die. And then this man said that I can give you so much money. Can you make me, can you let me live for 1 more day or 1 more week, something like that. And the doctor said, even if you promise me your entire wealth, the doctor said, no, it is not in my hands. That is, even today, that is the same thing. You may be, the one person may be the richest man and then he cannot stop his death. So, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi is the actual problem in the material world. And as long as you are a Kripana, as long as we are dealing only on the material platform, we cannot find a solution to this. Karpanya dosha. Because of that only, we are having perplexity about our dharma. You see? So we are perplexed, confused as to what I should do, what I should not do. You see? So confusion is resulting from this. This material conception of life, that is where the confusion is getting generated from. Why are we confused about what to do and what not to do? Because if I do this, how is it going to affect my material situation? And if I don't do this, how is it going to affect my material situation? How will it affect my Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi? This is what the material conditioning is always making us think. So, we have to follow Arjuna here. And what did he do? He said, Hey Krishna, Karpanya dosha, because of this miserly weakness, I am confused. I am unable to take a decision. So what do? I am surrendering to you as a disciple. You see? Surrendering to somebody is actually a very, very difficult thing to do. Do you think it is easy to give up the ego and go and tell somebody, sir, I don't know, please help me. I don't know what to do, I don't know what not to do. So actually, the process of surrender is not a very easy one. Otherwise, why wouldn't everybody simply surrender to Krishna and take shelter of Krishna? You know, Shadvidyam Sharanagati. Why doesn't everybody do it? Because it's not so easily done. Although Krishna is waiting eagerly to accept our Sharanagati, we are not so willing to surrender. So we take this great lesson from Arjuna that when I am perplexed, I am supposed to surrender. And when I surrender, what will happen? When I surrender, I will be guided. I will be guided as to what is right, what is wrong. what I should do, what I should not do. And with my surrender, if I am able to abide by the instructions given by that person to whom I have surrendered, then my problems can have solution. In this case, Arjuna is accepting Krishna as Guru and he is surrendering. Of course, we understand that Krishna is Akhila Guru. Krishna is Akhila Guru, Krishna is Adi Guru, Krishna is Chaitya Guru. Akhila Guru means Krishna is the Guru of the entire universe. Adi Guru means Krishna is the original Guru. Chaitya Guru means Krishna is Guru inside our heart. As Paramatma, also Krishna will guide, provided we turn to Krishna for guidance. Okay? For Arjuna, Krishna is accessible because Arjuna is a special Parshada of the Supreme Lord who has come with the Lord to assist the Supreme Lord in his Leela. So Arjuna gets the opportunity to take the disciplehood of Krishna directly. So Arjuna can say, Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. I am now surrendering to you as a disciple. Please instruct me. So now our next question comes, okay, so Arjuna was, he was there, he was Krishna's friend. They were already having a very good working relationship. And they were good friends, they are relatives from the mother's side, from the father's side, they are brothers-in-law, everything. So one can surrender to the other one and then the other one will accept also. But what about you and me? What about you and me? What is our position? Is Krishna directly going to come and stand in front of us and chant give us the Gita knowledge and we stand in front of Krishna and fall at his feet and say, yes sir, I surrender to you. So that question also will come, that for Arjuna it is okay, but for me what? So we understand that Prabhupada speaks in the purport that how we understand the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita is very, very important. And how is that? Just as Arjuna accepted the instructions in the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, similarly we should accept the instructions from Bhagavad Gita. And with a mood like that, Krishna by his Ahaituki Kripa, Krishna by his causeless mercy will send a Vaishnava who will act as a Guru for us. And to that Guru we surrender. And that Guru will give us the instructions that were given by Krishna. He will pass on that instruction. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, worship me. Correct? Me means Krishna. So the bona fide spiritual master, the Guru who comes in an authorized Guru Parampara, will teach surrender to Krishna. What did Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? Surrender to me, Krishna. And an authorized Guru will always say surrender to Krishna. He will not repeat the words saying that surrender to me, the Guru. No. But we surrender to the Guru as a representative of Krishna, because Krishna is not, we are not qualified enough to see Krishna in front of us and take his instructions directly. So we must find shelter of an authorized spiritual master. We must find a Sadguru. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean the famous Sadguru. No. Sadguru means a sadhu who is a guru. And who is a sadhu? The mukhya lakshana of a sadhu is that he is completely surrendered to Krishna. So, Sadguru means such a sadhu who is completely surrendered to Krishna, who has been taught that surrender by his Guru. So, in order to get out of this situation of the Karpanya dosha that has put us into this perplexity of the material life, we must surrender. That surrender must be done to a Guru who is authorized, surrender to a spiritual master and take instructions from him, so that we can get rid of, or we can become free from these perplexities of material life. I just would like to give one example here, that in the recent past, I don't know how many of you know, there was this very big businessman in India, who had a coffee empire, He was a very big businessman. He had, I think his net worth was something like 24,000 crores. That's what I read in the newspaper, It was something in the region of 24,000 crores, and he had some debts of some 6 or 7,000 crores, and he committed suicide, you see. And anybody looking at that, all the other businessmen were saying, he could have easily done the math and, he didn't have to die, because, 24 minus 6, he is still left with 18, something like that. But you see, having all that facility and having that, 24,000 crores, I am sure none of us in this group will even know off our head. Do we know how many zeros are there in 24,000? We don't even know. Right? And a normal material person will think that that kind of money will give me security. Like, wouldn't you be secure if you have that kind of money? Normal, when you think normally on a material platform, don't you think 24,000 crores of rupees will give you security? We are not even looking at 24,000 or 24 crores. We are even happy with 2.4 crores. But you see, whatever you may achieve materially, the perplexity of the material existence is such that it can bewilder you at any moment. You see, that person would have had his Arjuna moment, I don't know what to do next. And because he had no guidance, what did he do? He did something that is neither good for him nor good for the people around him. So ultimately, it is a material perplexity that, spelt his end. So this is just one example. We can find scores of examples like this in the world, This is because he is a very big man and it is a very big problem. It came, it captured everybody's attention. And everybody were, speaking about how we should not be, and, but unfortunately, even in all those discussions, nobody ever spoke about somebody having a spiritual guide. You see? Because if he had a spiritual guide, he would have known the temporary nature of this. So, any kind of material perplexity, there is a solution. And that solution is to properly accept a bona fide spiritual master, surrender, take instruction, follow. If we are able to do that, we will be able to come out of the perplexities of life. And this is the great lesson that we learned from Arjuna, who is a very intelligent person. And when we look at Arjuna's problem, it is much bigger than a 24,000 crore problem. Arjuna's problem is not a small 24,000 crore problem. Arjuna's problem that is faced with is that he is going to play a decisive role in a world war. You know, the Mahabharata is where all the kings in the entire world were arrayed on two sides. You know, Duryodhana gave that, I don't know how many of you know the Iraq crisis, you know, when George W. Bush said, either you are with us or you are against us. You know, this was his very famous statement. When he made an alliance army, you know, to take to Iraq, he said that, he told everybody, either you are with me or you are against me. There is nobody, no neutral business. You know, this actually he learned from Duryodhana only. Duryodhana was the one who first said, either you are with me or you are against me. I will not allow anybody to take, I am neutral, I don't want this war. No. You know, only two people were allowed to leave without taking part in the war. And both had so much authority over Duryodhana that he could not influence them. One was his uncle Vidura and the other one was Lord Balram. Other than that, everybody were forced to take this side or that side. So just imagine that this is the scale of Arjuna's problem. And his decision would actually have a bearing on the outcome of this world war. That is his perplexity. That is the decision that he is unable to make. And what does he do immediately? Immediately he says, Krishna, I am surrendered to you, now you tell me what to do. You see? So it is not just that Arjuna gave up his ego in a moment of sentiment or, you know, emotion. No. These are all decisions taken with very mature intelligence. You know. You have to have that maturity to accept that I don't know, I need help. You know. Because normally on the material platform, with our ego, we think that to tell somebody that I don't know, I need help, we think that is something very, very low. But no, from Arjuna we understand that it takes intelligence. It takes maturity to say that I don't know, please guide me. But the only important thing is that you should know to whom to go and do this, I don't know, please guide me. If you go to the wrong guy, then you are finished. So that is why Srila Prabhupada instructs that we should go to the authorized person who can give the proper, correct knowledge. Then we are safe. So, I will stop here. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita Grantharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.